So Dylan mentioned did AJ Duffy get why did Duffy get dropped in the update? I don't know. I question a lot of the rankings this year, just as last year. But I will tip a cap to Steve and I with our Unconquered Talk ratings. We knows a lot of other people did, and now he's just started at Florida State. But is that Jarvis Brownlee broke the rock after the game in the locker room, so Brownlee continues to be that top cover corner. He's grown into his role. I know he dropped that easy, but he made up for it. Still, players make plays. He made a play and was able to get that pick six, which I really think, for him, that's just going to continue to add a lot of confidence to a guy who's already, supremely confident in his abilities.
Yep, absolutely. The maturation from him and even like Jerry Jones and Knowles on the inside. And, if you look at them from the Notre Dame game to now, it's night and day. They've grown a lot. And some of that's just
correct.
A lot of it's just getting comfortable in the system and getting comfortable with what Fuller is asking them to do. And, you got to think like since since Brownlee's been on campus, we went from a quarters team under a 3-4 quarters team to a 4-3 quarters team to now running, a 4-2 man press scheme. It's a lot of change. And the whole defensive backfield is starting to get comfortable in that. And you can see them just continuing to progress and get used to the pattern matching and that kind of stuff. And it's nice to see the actual progression from game to game, and you can actually see that game to game.
Another Norvell on the game itself, dominating an inferior opponent. That's our job. We did what we needed to do. We were dominant in a football game. We will continue to get better. We have a big challenge ahead of us next week.
Yep.
And confidence in this game, confidence in any part of it is big. I think once this team got that first win, I think they've played a lot. I said it, I think last week too. Podcast we had after Carolina is that Florida State got kind of off the schneid, got the monkey off their back, and now I think they're playing a little more relaxed ball. I think next week is going to be a sign of where this program is in terms of competing with a team that they're down a really good defense. It's going to be an interesting matchup for a team that can't score with a damn in Clemson versus a team like FSU who can run the ball, control the clock, and still put up 30 points a game, which they've done now 3 games in a row. So I think it's going to be a really interesting game next week.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting. I'm curious to see how Clemson looks against Pitt, and see if DJ starts to get into groove. But even if he does get into groove at this point, who is he throwing to? Because the top receivers are out for Clemson, and I think they're supposed to be out for next week as well. Thank you, Kyle. And it's going to be interesting to see, and same thing on the defensive line as well. They got a lot of injuries there too. So, people say, oh, it's an elite defense, but look at what Clemson's done the last couple of weeks, and trying to stop the run against like Syracuse. Syracuse ran all over them. So if Clemson still has a lot of those injury issues and DJ hasn't found his groove and confidence yet, that's a game Florida State can win. And that would be quite amazing to go from 0-4 to 4-4, beating North Carolina and Clemson. And, North Carolina on the road and then beating a Clemson team. Like, who would have thought that beginning of the preseason? Okay, yeah, we're going to be 4-4, and our wins are going to be against at North Carolina and versus Clemson, and then Syracuse and UMass, but you're going to lose to Jacksonville State. What a wild ride that would be.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would have ever thought that.
No,
But
no.
you know, uh, I'll take it. But you know, I know when on this particular game, we can talk a little bit about Clemson and like kind of preview that here in a minute. But wrapping up UMass, you know, what are the three takeaways you have from this game? If you have
My biggest takeaway. Yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway definitely to me is the learning process that we've done, especially in Norvell from Jacksonville State to this, because this is a much different game than Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State's got a lot of Power 5 transfers and stuff like that. So talent-wise, they're probably a little bit more talented than UMass. It wouldn't surprise me if Jacksonville State actually beat UMass on the field. So to see that us, struggle in that game and lose, and then to come out here and you could hear some of it in how Norvell was talking, like, we're not taking anybody for granted. We're not overlooking anybody. I think that's a direct cause of what happened against Jacksonville State. And I think he's saying, like, we learned our lesson. And how they came out and dominated today, I do. I think they learned their lesson, and they're not going to be overlooking anybody, and they're learning how to come out game after game after game and perform. And we haven't seen that in 5-6 years, so that's takeaway number one. And then takeaway number two is just our ground game, man. It's impressive to see. It's impressive to watch. Yes, UMass really is terrible, but watching us be able to come out and just put up big run after big run after big run and just dominate, and with many different running backs at that. It's not like it was just one running back. Corbin did well. Travis had big runs. Toa Philly came in after, being hurt the last few weeks and had a really good game. I think he had like 13 yards per carry, something like that. Ward came out and was his typical self. Williams came in and had some good runs and a real nice touchdown run.
Really great run on that touchdown.
It was nice. Very patient, watched his blocks get set up and then burst through for a nice touchdown. So to see 4 running backs and a quarterback that can run the ball, be able to do that, even against UMass, and having that many people you can run on, and people still say, oh, our running backs are average. Yeah, blow it out your rear. There's nothing average about these running backs. Nothing at all. They are very good.